And we'll start with big breaking news from Craven Cottage.
Yeah, Saudi Arabia interest in Alexander Mitrovic, a bid of £25.5 million from Al Hilal. Again, we were speaking on breakfast this morning. Normally these bids don't go in, Danny, unless the players' side have indicated there's an interest. And I guess Mitrovic, approaching the veteran stage of his career, might just fancy jumping on that gravy train.
Well, I mean, he's earning big at Fulham, 100 grand plus apparently. So
120, I think.
120, I mean, that's great money, and Fulham's best ever paid. But if you're being offered 5, 6, 10 times that, and you're nearing the end, what can you blame him?
Be a big problem for Fulham, though, wouldn't it? I mean, you saw the way that they struggled after he got suspended in that FA Cup game. They were in for Victor Gyökeres, but I think he's off to Sporting Lisbon.
There was a little bit more to that, though, wasn't it? Their season sort of came to an end after the fact they got suspended. And actually, they played a good couple of games towards the end of the season when they didn't do too badly. But this is the club of Koulibaly. This is the club of Moussa Marega. This is the club of Ruben Neves, Al Hilal, that he's being linked with. Are
they the Saudi champions? Are they the ones managed by Nuno Espirito Santo?
They are the team managed by Jorge Jesus, who finished third out of 16 last year. But I think historically, they've won a record number of titles. I think they're the 18-time champions, 13-time.
You could see Mitrovic being up for this move, I think.
Well, he is.
Clearly, because otherwise they wouldn't have been able to. I mean,
they wouldn't have made the bid.
I mean, sources close to the player indicated that he wants to make the move.
There we go.
His wife, that is.
Liverpool set to rival Brighton in the battle to sign Chelsea defender Levi Colwill. We don't think that he's likely to go to Liverpool, do we?
Be a terrible look from Chelsea.
What's his contract length left?
He's got 2 years left on his contract, I think.
And there's been a new deal on the table since the turn of the year that he's been reluctant to sign because he doesn't necessarily think he's going to get a chance in the first team.
Well, if his desire, which it sounds like it is, and fair play to him, is to play more first-team football because he's just had the taste of it in a successful year at Brighton, then I admire that. But although I'd love to see him go to Liverpool because I'm a Liverpool fan and he's a real quality player, why would you go there? He's not going to play.
He wants to play for Roberto De Zerbi, doesn't he?
Well, he enjoyed his time at Brighton.
Well,
I think he'd be open for a return because he knows he's going to get minutes.
If I was him, and he really is that desperate and worried about committing at Chelsea because he just get lost in the system, if you like, not the system, but you know the size of the squad and the instability at Chelsea, I'd ask for a loan and go Brighton on loan for another year. And then he finishes that season with a year left.
He doesn't want to do that. He wants to find a settled home because he believes that he can be a top player. And in fact, Gareth Southgate has already brought him into the training squad for England prior to this last month's internationals and suggested to him that if he's playing regularly, there's every chance he could be in the Euro 2024 squad.
I think there's a couple of strands to this. That is one of them. And obviously I covered the semi and the final of the Under-21 Euros for talkSPORT. And if you're asking me for one player from that team who could find themselves on the plane for the senior tournament next summer, I think it's him. But I think he needs to be playing regularly in the Premier League in order to achieve that.
Well, I don't think he would at Liverpool, although potentially he's very, very good. I hear you. He's not going to play ahead of Virgil or Konate.
But it's a big problem for Chelsea as well. They've already lost Mason Mount to Manchester United. That's one of their academy poster boys, if you like. There's Conor Gallagher. The interest from Tottenham is genuine. Someone else who's come through the academy. He's not certain of his future at the football club. Even Trevor Chalobah possibly could be sold.
Loftus-Cheek is already
Ruben
gone.
Loftus-Cheek has gone. Callum
Hudson-Odoi
will go.
But let's not forget also...
I'm just talking about the homegrown players.
Gahey went.
Yeah.
He won. Yeah.
I think he's better.
Lamptey.
He's better than what they've got. Tamori went. Super player.
And it's basically because it's the homegrown players that they can command big fees for. They look good on the balance sheet because it's all profit in terms of FFP. But is it the right look for a football club of Chelsea's stature to be selling off the family silver, if you like, to make way for these overseas buys?
We've been talking about this for... How long have we been talking about this for now?
Yeah, a while.
How long? Privately, we've been talking about this for a long time. How many... I've sent him so many text messages in which I said to him, they're going to sell this player, they're going to sell this player, they're going to sell this player. And I know that there's a lot of Chelsea fans that are like, okay, trust in the new regime and whatever, and I totally get that.
Is that trust waning, though?
We don't know what's going to happen in the future, and we can't predict what's going to happen in the future. But you have spent so much money on that academy over the last 20 years. It has now started to produce player after player after player. There's more players that have come through that Chelsea academy in the last 2 or 3 years than anywhere else that have made it into top flight football and top European football. And they're not playing at Chelsea.
Well, hold on. Yeah, you're right. But Badiashile was signed. He's a left-footed. Colwill. Athletic. Decent footballer. They already had one. Why are they signing him?
Yeah.
Madueke. He's a bit younger than Jobio. God, my memory.
He had a good tournament.
Hudson-Odoi, yeah. God, John Obi McElhenney. Hudson-Odoi is better than him, as far as I'm concerned.
He hasn't shown that consistently.
No, but I still think he's better.
Maybe talent-wise, but he hasn't played enough football. And even when he went to Leverkusen on loan,
if you keep creating and producing really good players and then buying in other players to replace them before you nurture them and give them an opportunity...
People still going to your academy.
I think Chelsea are making a Horlicks of it. If you look at what they've got left now to start the season, after what they've spent, it's absolutely ludicrous.
I mean, I'm looking at the squad in front of me. I sat down last night and I wrote down the squad, right? I'm not joking. It looks like an under-23 squad.
It's a massive job that Pochettino has undertaken.
You've got two great fullbacks in James and Chilwell, but they don't play enough because they get injured.
Neither can stay fit.
Both of them get injured. You've got Badiashile, Wesley Fofana, who had a difficult season last season. Let's just put it into context. Thiago Silva, who's almost as old as me. You've got in midfield, you've got Gallagher, Chukwuemeka, who's 19, and Enzo Fernandez. You got a younger kid in Andre Santos who has started training with the team. He's 18 years of age, and Ethan Ampadu, who's been on loan more times, than anyone else probably in the league.
And actually, he's training with a group of players who they're willing to let go. I believe Ampadu as well.
Not good enough.
Right wingers, Madueke, Ziyech, who's moved to Saudi Arabia, fell down because of a medical and he should have gone to PSG in January anyway. Diego Moreira, who's 18, and Pulisic, who's gone to AC Milan. Tino Angerin is there, he's 21. You've got Mudryk, who they paid 88 million quid for, is 22. Sterling, obviously one of the senior players at 28, Hudson-Odoi. Their forwards are in Nkunku and Nicholas Jackson, who you think's raw. Lukaku, who's on his way out. Aubameyang is on his way out. And Brozier, who's 21 years of age. I mean, this is not a squad that's going to get in the top four.
No, it really isn't.
No.
And listen, I'm a big Pochettino fan. I think he's a very good manager.
He's not Harry Potter.
Well, they had Harry Potter, didn't they? And he couldn't work his magic. But yeah, the squad is so disjointed. And I think it's just a worry. If you're a young player, and clearly Mason Mount felt disrespected, I'm sensing that Levi Colwill feels it as well. That just isn't a great dynamic to be operating in.
Moving on.
Cheered up the Chelsea fans.
It's depressing, isn't it? Actually, Jason says, how is Gerhi better than one of our centre-backs?
Who's that, Chelsea fan?
Jason's just texted in, Chelsea fan. How is Gerhi any better than our centre-back?
Well, I'd have him ahead of Chalobah and I'd have him ahead of Badiashile.
There you go. There's your answer, Jason. Let's talk about Leeds United. Their striker, Rodrigo, is another one who is heading to the Middle East, but he's going to Qatar. Yes, he is.
Al Rayyan, £3 million release fee, we understand, in his contract as a result of relegation. Most of that squad have got similar clauses. I think Jack Harrison will be snapped up by a Premier League team. Willie Gnonto, interestingly, hasn't got that clause, but we know there's strong interest in him from Everton. But you feel, Danny, that Rodrigo, with the numbers that he hit last season, top goal scorer for Leeds, maybe could have done a job for somebody else in the Premier League.
Well, I did read a couple of weeks ago a link with Everton, which I thought was perfect because he's a goal scorer. I mean, the times I saw him for Leeds, I know he had one injury last season, but he was top goal scorer. He did have a couple of spells on the bench where they left him out for Bamford, which was beyond my comprehension, because the other thing, other than scoring goals, which is key as a forward, especially when he played down the middle, his tenacity and work rate off the ball is phenomenal. And Everton desperately needs someone like him. Scores goals, up for it, physical, great left peg, and if you can get him for $3 million... That's exactly what Everton need to be finding.
What's the problem here, though?
Well, he's obviously been offered a fortune to go over there.
Wages. And Everton's problem is, at the moment, listen, they've just done a deal with Ashley Young, who's left Aston Villa and he's did his
I don't think that's a terrible signing for Everton.
It's a great signing for Everton because he's fit and he's going to work hard.
Signing.
And he's with Everton at the moment, it's the only signing. He's got experience.
If you want to move forward,
but they don't have the money.
Wout Weghorst, his name keeps coming up in terms of Everton as well.
Well, they need a centre forward. I mean, their squad is incredibly light.
If they're looking for a centre forward who doesn't score any goals, Wout Weghorst is perfect.
He didn't do too badly in the World Cup, did he? Didn't he help Holland out?
He did all right in Turkey.
Yeah. Scored quite a few goals.
Again, work rate, endeavour, brilliant for Manchester United in that respect, but he just never looked like he was going to score.
You can't keep writing people off just because they don't deliver at the top.
Well, Dyche knows him from Burnley. He took him to Burnley.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I saw him score a great goal at Brighton.
You just had a go at him.
No, I can see why it'd be a good fit for Sean Dyche. I mean, I don't think he's going to fit into the style of play that Vincent Kompany wants to play.
Brighton captain Lewis Dunk has signed a new 3-year contract. Dunk has played 378 league games for the Seagulls since making his debut in 2010.
That's good news.
Good piece of business.
Yeah, he's a brilliant player, isn't he? Especially for Brighton.
And he'll probably finish his career there now, wasn't he? It was interesting, actually, because we took him on the pier before the FA Cup semi-final. We did a sort of, a day out with Lewis Dunk. And he largely got ignored. You think Brighton captain, he's come through the academy. You think he'd be mobbed, but he isn't. Maybe it just suits him down there on the South Coast. He can just go about his business and playing regularly in the Premier League.
Who's he hanging around with that day? I think that would be I'll be asking that question.
I think he'll be in the England squad as well.
Maybe
obviously he was forced to
I like
pull out
him.
through
I
injury.
think he's a terrific player. I've been to Brighton Pier a couple of times. Got absolutely pestered to death. Honestly, yeah.
Did you actually?
It's definitely about the company you keep.
You're more famous in Brighton than their captain. Is that what you're saying?
Maybe there's more Scousers in Brighton than there is Brighton fans. I kept bumming into Liverpool fans.
Do you think he'll play for England?
I think he deserves that chance. I think he's a terrific
He's
footballer.
called up before, wasn't he?
He had to pull out injured, didn't he, from this last round of
I think
international?
he's a terrific footballer. He seems to be completely confident in himself.
Good
What he's
lad
trying
as well.
to do. Playing out from the back, he's a leader, he's good in the air. Is he the quickest? No, but you don't need to be if you've got good pace around you. I like him a lot.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.